Good evening, mighty listeners. We have been away for a bit of time. Ben is moving his abode, and I have taken up a new and mighty role, sitting in a much bigger chair with a bigger desk. So it's been particularly busy for us. But we are here now for your listening pleasure. So tonight we will go onto the hobby desk. How are you, by the way, Ben?
I'm fine. This will be the most I've been on the hobby desk in a couple of weeks, though.
Yes, indeed. So, onto the hobby desk. So, Ben's done some more Oggors. Surprise, surprise. And actually, I have started painting, he's an orc, because he's from Blood Bowl. So, we've got a little bit to talk about on there. Into 40k in the Grim Darkness. And it's been a smattering of things for the specialist games that's come out, and a little bit from Forge World. So we'll have a chat about that. Into the mortal realms, where everything is constructed of bone at the moment. So
including fallacies.
Yeah. Yes. And also, it's either constructed of bone or being eaten by Oggors. So little bit to talk about there as well. Into the community. So our usual shout outs to the community, and we talk a little bit about the new venue, the Manor House, which is in Bristol. And then lastly, into the wilds. So we're going to chat a bit about Star Wars Legion this time round. And was it Hero Kids?
Hero Kids, yeah.
Hero Kids. No, I've no idea what that means. So that'll be exciting when we get to that section. We'll find out. I actually learned something from Ben. My goodness. Anyway.
Burned!
Burn. It is great to be back, guys. We will see you on the hobby desk.
Hi guys, and welcome to our 50th hobby desk.
Dun dun dun. That's nearly the number of years that Ben has been alive. Oh no.
Oh.
No, you're not that actually. No.
How old do you think I am, you bugger?
Oh, he's 63.
So I've noticed, Dan, that... How do you say orc?
Orc.
No, that's not how you normally say it.
What do you mean how I normally say it?
I just noticed that the way you say orc is pretty much because of your Cornish accent. Orc.
Orc.
So
Orc.
I reckon that the new orcs are just Cornish orcs. Orcs.
Shall I get some orcs with pasties?
Oh man. Brilliant. So yes, the hobby desk. So like Dan said, unfortunately, and this is really poor timing on my part, and we really wanted the 50th episode to be good, filled with excellent new innovative content, but I've been moving house and Dan's got a bigger desk with a bigger chair at work.
Yep.
And it's made it really difficult.
And it's not a hobby desk.
So at the moment, my hobby is partially packed. I'm painting intermittently. I'm having very little time to think about it. So just a general sorry to everyone who follows us online, and a big thank you to those who help us put out content, because we've not been up to our normal boisterous selves recently. Apologies.
What's tough, I have found, I know for you, like, you found it hard because you've had to pack a lot of stuff away, and actually having it out and around the house is quite and easily accessible for you is a good motivator, and being able to do it like with the family, good motivator. And because you've had to pack stuff away because people keep bloody coming around to look at the house, you know what you should do? Just take some pictures of it tidy and just have them in like a billboard thing. Show them.
Well, I did offer that as a suggestion, but they apparently like coming around and looking at things.
Yeah,
so
it's not
it's
like
really
they're
unreasonable.
Life-changing decisions. It's ridiculous.
No.
Anyway, so that I know that's been hard for you. For me, with the kids generally, being quite young, my hobby time has been once they're in bed. And Harriet and I had a little bit of time together, and then she goes off to bed early, and then I stay up and paint. But work has become so busy, and I'm now starting at like 6 a.m, consistently, that I get to 8:30, 8:45, and I'm going to sleep, not doing hobby. So that big run I had where I was being really productive because I was doing 2 or 3 hours every night, now I'm down to 2 or 3 hours a week if I'm lucky. But that's the way it goes. It ebbs and it flows.
It does. And I find that the less contact you have with the hobby, the less motivated you are to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean that in a kind of general sense, because I do a number of things every week that I do every week, like as a routine. So, people's pages that I follow and I go on every week and I watch their videos and I get inspiration from that. And I'm not doing that at the moment because I just don't have time to sit down and watch those people. So I find that what ends up happening is I don't feel motivated to do it because I've got the extra effort of getting everything back out and then painting and then putting it all away again.
I think that's often true.
I'm making other choices
within the hobby as well, though. Like, so even when I'm active in the hobby, it's usually whatever I'm engaged in, whichever part of it at the time, you get more and more motivated for. So, for example, I often find that with the different systems. So, like, people will say, "What's your favourite game system?" And I will usually say Age of Sigmar, and I do love Age of Sigmar, but equally, it's the one I play the most. Now, and that's just because, really, it's because Dan is the person that most actively wants to play, other than Chris with Necromunda. So I play Dan quite a bit. But actually, if I went and played 40k a few times, I'd be all over that because I love that as well. So I definitely hear you on the, the more you do it, the more motivated you get. The less you do it, the less it's kind of like a bit of a bummer, really. It works that way. But hey ho. So, what have you been painting? You came up to see me, and we went up to Warhammer World.
Yeah, so I'm still working on my Ironjawz, getting those up too, because we probably haven't said this on the show yet, but we're doing the Grand Tournament at the end of January.
Yes.
And I'm going to take my Oryx because I'd like to take an army where I need to think as little as possible. So I'll put them on the table, I'll run at objectives and people, I'll hit things around the head with my Oryx. They'll mostly die. I'll probably lose, but I'll have a cracking time and a fun old laugh shouting wow and being an idiot. But to do that, I need to get them painted. So that's what I've been up to. And mainly this month was getting them up to tabletop standards so I could go up to Warhammer World with you.
Yeah.
So they are pretty much, tabletop now. I sat down for a day at your house and, as you know, and based them all, which takes its time.
Sorry to interrupt you, but when you come to my house, you are bringing one of those paint pot things to stop them falling over.
Well, I didn't knock one over this time.
That was luck.
Well, it's regardless of whether it's luck, and I fully accept it's the first time I've painted at your house and not knocked something over. If it makes you feel better, I don't knock anything over in my kitchen very often.
Well, yeah, that makes me, my desk, my floor all feel better.
I think it's your swivelly chair. I think that's what it is. I swivel on your chair and I knock stuff over.
That's
with my
fine.
big
Next time
arms.
you come, you can sit on the bloody floor.
Yeah, no, one of those potholder things I think is going to be on my shopping list.
It's not got Citadel written on it enough for me, so...
It's probably on the bottom.
No, if I had a look.
You had you sat old git.
Yeah. That's why I don't want the painting stick thing, because the elastic bands haven't got Citadel written on them.
I'm not convinced with the... Well, actually, this is the perfect place to talk about those things, but I have actually finished talking about what I've done, so I've only got a few more things to do with the Oryx now. I've got the final highlight on the red, and then I've got the final highlight on the white. I've got the leathers and the metals, which won't take very long, and because there isn't much of it. And then blood and gore, and I'm done. So they are nearly ready. So hopefully by the time we meet up in the end of November, they'll be finished and ready.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the 5 brutes that I've got in a box ready to paint.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully a few... I'd like to get the sneaky snufflers done, but I'm not painting enough to get them done by then, I don't think.
Oh, and you've got to add tufts on everything.
Yes! So...
Apparently I had a few tufts lying around for you to try out.
Oh, yeah, I had a go. I've used tufts before, but I didn't put tufts on the basis for my Oryx, because I didn't know if it would work on a kind of forest theme, but as soon as I put them on, it made sense. So they're on there now.
It's useful when you visit and there's someone with probably enough tufts, I think.
The sentence you were looking for was, visit someone with the most ridiculous collection of tufts known to modelling kind. Because, quote, I tried to get the ones I had on my army, but I didn't know which ones they were, so I just bought the flipping lot. I'm alright. So there we go.
Fine, fine. It's all good. Let's talk about
which is such a damn jolly thing to do. Yes. Yeah. The stick. Right, so, okay, yeah, I should imagine the stick works very well, but, and I should imagine somebody will buy it. But I'm going to stick with my piece of cardboard.
I've got a wooden stick.
Almost.
With double-sided
You actually have
tape.
A sticky stick, don't you? Yeah.
That's a Hey Dougie song, Sticky Stick.
Sticky Stick. It is a Hey
Stick,
Dougie
stick,
song.
Stick, stick, sticky, sticky, stick, stick.
That's Peppa Piggy Pillow.
I know, but mixed with Sticky Stick.
Okay, alright. So, well, I mean, will you get one? Are you thinking of one? Mr. Cecil?
No.
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 Quite like, a nice little gizmo to have around, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think, it is a good idea because
bulk.
Actually, yes, it is a good idea because actually, especially when you're just starting out as well. See, that's the other thing again that you come back to with Games Workshop and some of their products like this. You know, you got people who are new to the hobby or haven't had lots of exposure to lots of different things, and actually they're going to take their models home, put them on the side, go shh, and knock them all over everywhere because they're just going to fire off, you know. So actually having a product, and it's only 12 quid or something, it's not really expensive, that is for that purpose. I don't think it's a bad thing. Is it for me? No, because, and it's not because, well, I'll just use a stick. Actually, the reason I'll use a stick is because I can put a shed ton of models on it, like you said, like spraying in bulk. Yeah. You know, I remember spraying Blood Reavers, and I had like 40 of them on a piece of 2B4, covered in double-sided tape. But you know, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Look, you're holding a sprout of Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is like. Actually, it is like a thing, a thing of Brussels sprouts. So, and then I don't quite understand why the red painting handle is £1.50 more than the black painting handle, but it is a very nice shade of red, and it says Citadel colour, not just Citadel. So it's another level of painting handle. And 3 of those handles fit in one of my Hobby Zone drawers. Okay. I've got 5, and they live in so I've got a space for it to go in.
I mean, yeah, I don't really get, I don't even really get the idea of you need a red one to stand out in the unit, you know, for the sergeant or something.
Yeah, that's just
I think
crazy.
if it had been the same, I think if it was, if it had been the same price as the others, I might have picked one up. Just, for the funsies of it.
Again, it's not a huge difference. It's just an odd thing to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, I know it sounds daft, but in some ways that just aggravates me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, why is it £1.50 more? I'll almost not buy it out of spite of it.
I didn't think for a minute when I saw the price of it that it would aggravate you.
Nah.
To be honest, mate, I just haven't got into the flow of using them. I got 5 of them because I tried one once and I got really excited about it. I thought, oh, actually, this is really good. But I just don't even think about it, if I'm honest. It's only like every now and then I'm like, oh, I could use a painting handle.
I use them almost all the time, unless I'm doing a big batch.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a squad of 10, I'll use them. If I'm doing a squad of 5, I definitely use them. If I'm doing a character, definitely use them. Anything over 10, and I'm not using them, because it just becomes more of a hassle taking them on and off of the handle than it is any hassle that's saved by them. But yeah. I do find that when I'm using them, I touch the model less. I have more control over what I'm doing. There's another place for me to rest my brush hand. So I use them a lot. But
the last time I used one, I put so much wash on the model that I fused it to the handle. I had to break it off. So I think I got a bit carried away.
What I'd like to see is a batch painting extension for it.
What?
So, for example, like a little rung of 5 28mm slots that you grasp into the top. So you grasp your model into there, and then grasp it into the top, or something similar to that, so that you can batch paint 5 models on a 28mm base.
That sounds ridiculous. How would you get to like the sides and stuff?
If you're batch painting, so it doesn't need to be perfect.
So you don't need to paint the sides. Fair enough.
Well, you do need to paint. Don't be such a pillow. You do need to paint the sides.
Well, you could just put them in that spray stick thing and just use that.
That's actually a very good idea.
There you go. Full of them, see?
That is actually a very good idea. I might go down to Games Workshop just to see if they would work as a batch painting handle. I think you're onto something there, Mr. Jolly.
There you go. Full of these good ideas, me. So we've discussed the don't knock your paint over holder thing, which I do love. I think that's genius, because that is clearly, they've flicked through Instagram so many times and seen the, oh no, I've knocked my wash over photos, and just thought, right, okay, there you go, triangle of rubber. Get in.
Well, there is also a lot of third-party products for that too. So there's plenty of options out there for people to choose from.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
It's a bit like PlayStation not selling the rubber thumb things that go on top of the controller.
Oh, yeah.
Bits. And everybody else in the universe sells them for them, but they just sort of decided not to bother. But Games Workshop decided to bother.
Maybe the painting handles are going to go up to £6.50 because there's a box of 5 of them for £25. So you would think that would save you something, because once upon a time, a little while ago, I would have said nah, because Games Workshop don't do boxes that save you money, but they do absolutely now. So maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe.
A bit of a shame, £6.50.
It does look a bit like a rail rifle, that spray stick. Could be like a rail rifle pistol. So that's quite cool. Do you reckon they're going to do branded Citadel gloves for when you're spraying your models?
I don't know, but I definitely wouldn't buy them.
I would.
Because I get them free from work.
Oh. Okay.
Lots and lots and lots of them.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good. That's nice to know.
But most important to note, I get them free from work. I have the boxes on my shelf, and then I don't use them. So I end up going to work with paint all over my hands and getting funny looks from everyone.
Yeah. Well, you have to walk around with your hands in your pockets, yeah. So, I have finished 10 Blood Reavers.
And rather splendid they look too, as well. I like the ones with two-handed axes.
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, though, and this is my own doing, where the arm meets the torso, when you just build them, it doesn't...
Yeah, you get a gap.
Yes, but you don't... I didn't really notice it. It wasn't until I used contrast paint on them and it flowed into that gap that I saw the gap. So I've managed to mitigate it a bit with the way I've painted them, but it's just something to bear in mind. I did thoroughly enjoy painting them, if I'm honest. I know I've said it a few times now, but I really do enjoy contrast for certain things, and actually for doing the skin,
yeah,
it was
you appreciated them, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
What was good about that is I find that grey sear on its own is a little bit stark, but you need that lighter colour for the flesh because it doesn't work quite as well over the grey Helford's grey. So by doing the pre-shade, you get a nice mix, which seemed to work quite well.
I'm a big fan of Halford's Grey under contrast paints. I find I get a much better result for 90% of them. But that's my opinion, and I think some people, the aesthetic that people want from their models, and I've really enjoyed the effects that you get when you've pre-shaded. I think it works really, really well. I haven't done it with flesh. I've done it with greens, but I do like it a lot.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm finding is really good is like satchels and straps and things like that. It's just great. It's really
and there's loads of ways to change. Okay, so it's one coat. I mean, the idea is it's one coat. Fine. So if you go with one coat and put it on, it will work in as much as you will have dark in the dark bits and light in the light bits, and it will have highlighted the model effectively. If you don't like the tone or the colour, there's actually quite a lot you can do to change that. I find, for example, and it's been so long since I've used them now that I've forgotten the names, but the one that equates to Mornfang Brown, it'll come to me later on when we're not recording, I'm sure.
Is it Gorgrunter Fur?
It might be that one, yeah. It might be that one, yeah. And so I find that over even a Halford's Grey looked a bit stark. So I just washed Agrax Oakshade over the top, and I'm practically done then. Because it just toned it all down to a nice sort of brown colour.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the ones I'm used mainly for the straps on my Gorgrunters at the moment. And I'm actually looking at them thinking, well, do I really need to do that much highlighting? And I don't really think I do now. So there is ways that you can use the washes alongside the contrast, or maybe even two coats of the contrast to get like the tones that you want. And that's still quicker than starting from a dark colour and working your way up through the highlights. It doesn't look as perfectly good, but it's certainly tabletop, and it's probably better than a standard tabletop if you tweak it a little bit.
The painting handle is £6. It's got. I don't know whether that's gone. Oh, it has gone up because there's loads of stuff's gone up. The fine detail cutters have gone up.
They were expensive anyway.
Yeah, they're £20 now. Anyway, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude, you were talking.
It is utterly normal for you to just go off topic in the middle of a conversation, and not just when we're on podcast.
Yeah, it's my brain. It's exciting.
It is nice though that when we're recording, you say sorry because normally you don't bother.
Well, that's all to do with my public persona. Don't laugh. I take this social media thing very seriously. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important that people see me as a hobby role model that they can follow and attempt to emulate, but never better.
If people could see your face while you're saying that.
It's very hard. It's hard to keep a straight face.
So, other than your miss, what did you say? What did you describe them as?
What are you?
Your blood reavers.
Oh,
misunderstood. Your misunderstood.
Oh, my misunderstood Khorne warriors. Yes,
absolutely not raving psychopaths. No.
Other than them, well, of course, because we're going to this event, it's been important for me because I've got some Skull Reapers and a hero to focus on. So, I thought what I would do is focus on the getting the Blood Reavers, the Skull Reapers, and the hero done. So that's all sorted out, and I don't have to worry about it. So naturally, having finished the Blood Reavers, I've started painting something for Blood Bowl. Because why not? So I'm painting. I don't even remember what his name is.
Big Orc dude.
He's the hero. A big Orc dude. He's the Orc character for Blood Bowl. He stood over there looking at me. I'm just looking him up because it will irritate me if I don't look him up. But anyway, I'm painting him, and I have to say, the cast is not very good. It's irritated me. Like some models, the Blood Reavers were an absolute joy to paint.
Yeah.
They're obviously they're plastic, but the joy. I know there was the join issue, but generally they went together nicely. The paint, they just flowed to paint them. It was each thing was quite distinctive. You knew what you needed to put where. Really quite pleasant to paint. This guy is not. He I don't know, it's just not quite right. Vara Ghoul Chewer, that's what he's called.
Well, why didn't you remember that?
Well, I don't know. It's outrageous, really. So, well, you know when a model is a little bit more challenging, when you've got to bring it up on the website with the 360
to see what
to work out what each thing is.
Yeah.
So it's not the most enjoyable experience, but I'm only on the base coats. He shouldn't take me that long overall painting time, but as we've already said, getting that time is hard. I do love Blood Bowl. I don't know what it is. I've never even played a whole match because I always run out of time. Did we didn't get through a whole match?
No, we played a half, but that's fine, isn't it? I think that's the joy of it, that actually...
I think what I find... Go on.
Well, it is quite nicely segmented up, so each play is a kind of game in its own right, in a way.
I think what's quite exciting about Blood Bowl is, I love the orcs, and I love the gouged eye orcs, so it is completely achievable to collect and finish a collection for Blood Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
In as much as the team rosters have specific allowances and caps. So once I've done 16 linemen, 4 Black Orcs, 2 throwers, 4 blitzers, 1 troll, this Varag guy, 4 goblins, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I can say, yep, I have a Blood Bowl team. The full team. Everything.
Yeah.
Oh, and the coach things, the cheerleader things. So, and I quite like that. I do quite like. It's nice to have something going along like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm really excited about Blood Bowl at the moment because I got my Goblin cards. I've waited for years for my Goblin cards, and they snuck them out, and I'm happy. Means I don't have to have the book open to play my game. The thing I mainly like about Blood Bowl is it allows you to play with other sort of styles of painting as well, so you can be quite fun with it. You can try a different style altogether, which I really quite liked. I'm going to go for a totally different style than I normally would for my human team. So you're going to quite enjoy that. I'm going to really go very American football with like bright colours and glosses and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's a good idea. I've got a human team. Only 10, only the basic box and the ogre. And that's just purely because I thought if I painted it out, then if somebody didn't have Blood Bowl...
Yeah, then you'd have someone to play against, yeah. I've actually got the old metal team, the old human metal team.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't got them out and put them next to each other to see what the scale difference is, but I'm frightened that there's probably going to be a lot different. But I was going to use them for like other people in the team, shorter people in the team.
Yeah, cool.
Has that been your hobby desk for the month? Has it?
Yeah. I'll do a little bit more in the morning, hopefully, because it's Sunday tomorrow. So Harriet goes out in the morning, so I'll do a bit more then. But yeah, it's been a bit lax, really. I mean, I've done some gaming that we can potentially talk about in the 40k section. I've done some Necromunda gaming.
Yeah.
Which has been good. But yeah, we can talk about that in the in the next bit.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
If anyone has any ideas on how to pack a lifetime of hobby away quickly and easily, then I'm all ears.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you need a lot of boxes, do you not?
I think the biggest problem I've had, and it's a lesson that I've well and truly learned, is that I have bought stuff without any idea where I'm going to put it, or how to store it, or transport it, and I've painted stuff with a similar sort of attitude. So the last 2 years, I've painted nearly 1,000 models, and I've got no storage for it really, apart from to shove it in the foam cases, and they don't work for the modern Games Workshop models. So, yeah. So I'm having to catch up with storage. So my lesson to myself, and for anyone listening who has just started collecting or thinking of expanding their collections, think about storage as you go.
Oh my goodness. I've just found a Chaos Star Christmas jumper on an official Games Workshop link through from their website.
Yep. Nicely on topic.
How good is that, though?
Are you buying it?
There's an Imperial Eagle one. You should have that one, and I should have the Chaos. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, but they don't do it in probably massive beardy git size.
We would both look like a pair of puddings. Oh no, you're all right, mate. They do it in 9XL.
Do they? That's exactly what I need.
What kind of ridiculous thing is this? Triple XL fits 46 to 47 inch chest. What? That's not big enough, is it?
No.
Oh, then you could get it in male and female, so you could get one for Jo.
I'll get her the Chaos Star. That's what she deserves. Really.
She could probably knit one, actually, couldn't she?
Dude, it takes her about 6 months to knit a baby blanket. And that's not because she's a slow knitter, it's because she's just terrible with motivation. A bit like her Tree Lord that gets one small aspect of it painted every 4 weeks. Right, dude, shall we move ourselves on to the Galaxy of War?
I think that seems wise at this point, before I find more knitted goods to discuss. We will see you in the grim darkness of just now. Just now, in 1 minute. Welcome, listeners, to the grim darkness of the far future, where no one has any money at all because they've bought Dark Uprising.
Yeah,
so we've got as ever, the Galaxy of War is crammed with exciting awesomeness. Where should we start, buddy? Faith and Fire, New Sisters of Battle, Dark Uprising, Space Marines.
It is worth pointing out to everybody that Saturday night we recorded the first half of the podcast, and the release came out, or the preview came out. You can hear Dan's reaction to that
in the community sections. Yeah,
hail to the community. But we're gonna talk through some of it now. So I mean, yeah, what do you want to start with?
Faith and Fire.
Yeah. Has there been a book one already?
Well, book one is the Rise of the Phoenix, or Fall of the Phoenix, or whatever it was called, which is the Eldar one.
Yeah.
So book two is covering off. It's going to have rules for, or they called them like supplement level rules for pretty much all of the Heresy Legions.
Yeah, it took me a while to work out what the Emperor's Children badge was.
Oh, you've got me intrigued now. Colour me intrigued.
It's the wing, isn't it? With a claw.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's Black Templars as well, dude.
I know, I'm really excited about Black Templars. So, Black Templars were, after Space Wars, my next 40k army. Started when they released the 3rd edition box set, so I painted the Black Templars in there for our school club, and then they're the ones I kept coming back to. Actually, I painted more of those than Space Wars, to be honest. Yep, that's what I was painting when I was in Games Workshop at Plymouth. Love Black Templars.
Yeah, I always see. It's funny because although I know you love Space Wars, whenever I always think of you as a Black Templar player, really, because that was the stuff you were painting when I first knew you, I think.
Yeah.
And I always remember you having that little cabinet, that little tiny cabinet, and having the Dreadnought, the Forge World Dreadnought in it.
Yeah.
So I loved that. Yeah. Taste.
That Forge World Dreadnought was like a milestone for me in getting a model painted, because there comes a point when you're a painter where you realise that actually you're not going to get a really nice model like a Dreadnought, like that Forge World one that's covered in detail done, unless you just sit down and get on with it. So that was the first big model I did, to like a decent standard. I was well chuffed with that. Absolutely over the moon about that. And that is a hell of a nice model. That Black Templar Dreadnought is just superb.
So it's looking like Iron Warriors, Emperor's Children, Word Bearers, Alpha Legion, Night Lords, and of course the best absolute darn power armoured dudes of ever, the World Eaters. I'm very...
Except they're so useless they lose bits of their power armour.
Yeah, well, some things happen. But, you know, sometimes they just don't need all the bits of armour, you know? When you've got to show off your guns, you know... I'm very excited by that because I love them. Don't I? I'm a World Eaters player. I'm really interested to see which direction they go, because I'm not imagining... I was just going to say, I'm not imagining we're going to see new models, but maybe. I've got excited about this before.
I wouldn't rule anything out, mate. I mean, I think that we're more likely to see Eldar than we are anything else at the moment.
But this book is the equivalent of the book that's just come out for Eldar.
Yeah.
So, and that book refreshed some very...
old
units that were absolutely key to that army.
You don't need no Khorne berserkers. No, you don't. No.
Yeah, I do.
No,
I do. Oh, I do.
Do you know what? I'd absolutely love to see what the design team made of them now.
Oh, mate, they'd be so good, and there'd be so many skulls, and they'd be all flying about on chains, and oh man, it would. Oh, I need that. I just need that now. Damn it! I got excited about this last time, but oh my goodness.
You're right.
No, I'm excited
again. Do you need a moment? A glass of water to calm yourself down.
I was just thinking about Khorne Berserkers along the same design cues as like Khorne and some of the stuff they've been doing at the moment. Oh, that'd be so good, wouldn't it?
It would. You never know. You might do. Be nice to see some like specialist Black Templar units, like Hellbreak. No, when I did what. Why is Mephiston like the character model for that then?
Because he's a badass. I can't think. I don't know, dude, but it doesn't matter because he looks incredible.
Yeah, I'm not at all disappointed. They're Mephiston's a classic, and I'd love to see Dante and all of the Space Marine heroes redone. I'm excited for all of them, but it's unusual that they chose to do him rather than, say, Hellbrecht. Or Grimaldus.
Yes.
Grimaldus is a Primaris.
Yeah.
Rubicon?
You kind of have
what
to
Rubicon?
Wonder, like,
no.
You know how they're supposed to cross the Rubicon and essentially they have to die to become Primaris? I'm interested to see quite how they intend to kill Grimaldus to get him through the Rubicon because the entire church fell on him. And he didn't care. So, in fact, he collected bits of it and brought with him.
Yeah. Did you know those little dudes carrying the bits of the church around? Some of my favourite, like 40k models.
Well,
I mean, it's so randomly 40k for a chaplain to go like, right, you three, you carrying that, and they went, well, it's just a church.
Oh, mate. Do you know, if I had those guys, I'd have one carrying a giant Cornish pasty and one carrying a saffron cake.
What, if you had the models or you had them in real life?
If I had them in real life, like following me around. Like, it'd be amazing.
Why saffron cake?
Because I love saffron cake.
Do you?
Yeah. Why would you not?
Yeah. Well, I just think that there's better cake, if I'm being honest. Don't look at me like that. So, like, cherry bakewell? That's good. That's better than a saffron cake.
What?
For a start.
What?
Seeing that you would quite happily commit homicide in Bugman's Bar to get your hands on one of their cherry bakewells, you can't pull that much of a confused
Oh, yeah,
face.
they are lovely, but a rose saffron bun, proper job, that is. Ooh! And then I could have another one carrying a massive bottle of Betty Stoggs.
Oh dear. So what, you're going for like a more of a Bugman's chaplain here than you are
I'm spreading the word of Cornish produce, that's what it is. Alright, me handsome, where's me bloody turnips? Be like, here, you got carrot in that pasty, you heathen? Give me a slap, I will. Anyway. So new Faith and Fury. I keep saying Faith and Fire and Fire and Faith. It's not even got the word fire in it. It's just that I keep seeing the Sisters of Battle Tank and thinking about fire. It's called Faith and Fury.
Yeah.
But there we are. Yeah. So, hopefully, new Khorne Berserkers.
The word Fury does give me hope that more hope than the last.
If they bring out a specific word bearer unit and not World Eater unit, I will be very sad.
If they ever bring anything word bearers out, I'm genuinely sad.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
Because I can't get through a novel of them without feeling a little bit sick. Well,
that's because they're lame. Okay, so that is that. Space Marines have got a bunch of stuff since we last spoke. Has actually come out.
We have talked. Yeah, we've talked about all of it, but the new tanks and the the Infiltrators box sets and all of that are all out now.
And that Torgaradon.
Yeah.
He looks immense.
Seeing loads and loads of wonderful paint jobs done on them. I think they're fantastic models. I really do. I think they're so futuristic. They look like they look really tactical. Whereas there's something, even though in the background you know that like an intercessor can probably can run ridiculously fast, move like lightning, they still have the look of them like they're just sort of stoically advancing, a bit like RoboCop, just like walking forward, blatting anything that sticks their head out. Whereas with the Infiltrators, they do look like really tactical. I really like them. If I wasn't painting orcs, I'd be getting my hands stuck into them. I'm in a problem now, though, right? I'm in a real quandary. What am I going to do if they release really nice Black Templar stuff? Because the thing that's always held me back about Black Templars is the rules have always been a bit guff for Black Templars. So when they released the first set of rules, even when they had their codex, they had all of the champions were out and separate in a unit called the Sword Brethren. So you ended up with squads with very little solid punch to them. That was supposedly made up for by the fact that you could take effectively the same number of Marines again as neophytes as a kind of buffer. But that didn't really help when you didn't have the power weapon or power fist or heavy weapon, literally none of those things, to deal with the extra one to deal with the enemy when you got there. So I found it really challenging. They did tweak it a little bit as they've gone along, and the most recent renditions are absolutely fine. They're punched at the same weight as the Space Marine army, but back when I was collecting them, I found it really hindered my sort of want to collect millions of them.
Well, I think you've just got to be a bit reasonable, haven't you? Because you're working on your massive orc force, and you've got your Space Wolves, and your Titanicus. That you're doing, haven't you? Done your Blood Bowl. You've got. I
think it's always going to be Space Wolves, but I think as my primary legion. And again, Iron Snakes. I'd love to do an army of Intercessor Iron Snakes because I can do those really, really fast.
But I do think, it's just being reasonable, isn't it? So you totally, if they bring them out, you've just got to get an army of them. Haven't you? In all seriousness, just being reasonable about it, you have to have one.
In fact, I'm gonna turn around now and grab something because now we're on this topic. I'm gonna not be able to find it now, and that's gonna be really frustrating. No, here he is. So when I was collecting the Black Templars, I wrote all this background for them. So pages and pages of it. And all about all the characters in the army and everything. So, it was called the Crusade of Solar Dawn, and that's not my own made up thing. It's from the Age of Apostasy. So do you remember the Age of Apostasy?
Oh yes, in recent memory.
I can't remember his name, but one of the ecclesiastical. How do you remember that kind of stuff, man?
So that's what his name was.
Well, anyway, he basically took over control of the Imperium, while the Black Templars were off on a crusade, and when they came back and found a bunch of their chapter thingies sacked by these basically heretical ecclesiastical troops, they might have flipped their nut a little bit, and immediately redirected all of their crusades to Earth, pulling in lots of Sisters of Battle forces who had been basically looking for a reason, and laid siege to Terra. And there is a wonderful Empress Champion character, which is the whole thing is based on. The whole army is based on, called Navarre, who took the made the breach. So he took the chapter banner, the Crusade banner, to the top of the walls of Terra. So my army was based on a mixture of Sisters of Battle and Black Templars. Of course, now, with new Black Templars rules and Sisters of Battle, it wouldn't fulfill my dream of having this force at all.
Not in any way. I'm just looking up the Age of Apostasy because I might be wrong, because I thought that the Age of Apostasy... No, I am right, but I thought that was the one when... Because he was the one that made the Sisters of Battle, isn't he? And then Dominica beheaded him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I can't remember the details, it's such a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I read all of that.
No, that sounds good.
I should dig out my Navarre conversion now and photograph and put him up.
Yes, you should.
Because I was quite chuffed with him.
Anyway,
should we talk about more current stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about Necromunda now. Because I love Necromunda. Yeah. I'm actually starting a campaign.
Are you? Oh, that is awesome.
A 2-person campaign. Because
so I'd love to play in a campaign.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to get people together and be able to commit to something regularly. So what Chris and I have done is, well, Chris mainly, to be fair, has created a campaign, but it's got the facility to allow the other guys to drop in and out if they wish and play essentially. We were sat down and we were like, oh, well, how could we do it? And we've basically come up with the idea that there's a band of NPCs. So we've got we are 2 fairly fledgling gangs who've been essentially herded out of our territory by some kind of undead plague thing. And we're having to try and set up or carve out a little niche in the territory of some other gangs. 3 other gangs. So basically we choose, depending on, the storyline, whether we're playing each other or whether one of us is playing one of the third-party gangs or the enforcers might raid the place. There's loads of options, and that way we get a bit of variety as well, so we're not just playing as our gang. You can play as other things. And then if Tom or Ben or Dan want to get involved, they can pop up and play one of the NPCs. So yeah.
Sounds good.
So yeah, that's that. But of course, what that isn't is talking about Dark Uprising, which is the new mega box set, which is phenomenal. The terrain is phenomenal.
It's amazing.
The models are phenomenal.
I've been so excited about it since they showed the pictures of it. We were gutted when Zone Mortalis went, because we both talked about having Zone Mortalis boards. I am not gutted anymore.
No.
And it's answered my kind of quandary that anyone who's listened to us for any period of time will know that I've often ruminated on whether or not to base scenery. I will be basing all of my Mechanicum scenery on those Zector Mortalis tiles now, so that I can use them in and amongst it, or just stick them on a board separately, but on a tile, because a tile will look like it's an industrialised area. So I think that would look ace. And the new Zone Mortalis stuff, the actual bits and gubbins that go on, there's staircases, Dan.
Yeah, I know.
There's flipping staircases. I mean, I don't think Games Workshop has ever made a staircase.
No, I don't. I think you're right.
And now there is a staircase.
They have made staircases for Warcry.
I'm not talking about steps going up to the door. Oh, is there staircases in Warcry? Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. But that's all very recent.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? It's got some fantastic stuff in there. But it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
For a box set. Interestingly, I don't know actually, because when Titanicus came along, I can remember the conversation at Warhammer Fest with the guys at Forge World who said basically we weren't actually going to do a box set, but then people wanted a box set. And we were like, but it's going to be really expensive. And people were like, well, okay, fair enough. I remember that conversation, and then it came along and it was really expensive. But it was kind of like we'd been told it was going to be expensive, so okay, it was expensive. And this time, obviously it's not Warhammer Fest, so I haven't had that conversation, but it's well, we'll see.
Well, it's £175.
Yeah.
Which is more than a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a lot of money. You can pick up both of those consoles for under that price at the moment. And I've just double-checked that before we came on air, because the reason I did that is because whenever I used to try and sell people box sets, the starters box set, I did often used to get, well, they used to very regularly say, oh, well, why would I get that rather than a computer game? And my answer was quite simple. You'll get a lot more time and playability out of a 50 quid box set than you would a single computer game, by quite a long stretch. And, but when you actually come to the point where your box set is more expensive than the console, I think that's a barrier that's been broken. And it's worth me saying though, I don't think that the box set is bad value for what is in it. There's a lot of stuff in that box set, like a ridiculous amount of stuff. More than Warcry. And that had a lot of stuff in it. What I'm worried about is that when you have a box set that is that big and it has and is saving you a lot of money, I should imagine on when you buy them separately, then people will buy it, which isn't a problem for Games Workshop. But what it is a problem for us is that if people buy it, then they will start to price those box sets more and more and more towards 175 and then 200 and where do we stop? Because the most recent Eldar one was 100 and something, wasn't it? 125?
115.
115? They were under 100 and have been for the last 2 or 3 years. And there's a part of me that kind of thinks, well, I'd rather there was less models in it and they'd kept to the price. You know?
I think a couple of things. So I think firstly, it's really important to recognise that I think this isn't a starter set in the same way as the other starter sets, for example, that you were saying about when you were trying to sell them. And I get that, and I know exactly what you mean because I've been there. But I think this is a set for people that are already invested in wargaming and understand its value. Is a view. And then ultimately, I suppose, like I've heard a lot of things, and I know you were talking about it, but I've seen online, as you always do, people talking about feedback and, telling Games Workshop, and this is too much. There's only one vote in the end, and that's how many of them are sold.
Yeah. Which is what I mean is a bit of a shame, because I think I'm going to buy it because I haven't got either of those gangs. I think they're both awesome sets of miniatures, and I think the scenery is utterly superb.
Yes,
and I'm, I save a lot of money by doing it, but at the same time, I just, 175 is a lot. It is a lot, and it is, however way you cut it, and it will absolutely hammer my hobby budget.
Oh yeah, I mean
into oblivion.
It is a lot, but I think, in a way, if it opens the door for more substantial box sets and things that have got a bit more to them. So I suppose what I'm trying to get at is like the Grandmaster edition of Titanicus was priced at a point where it could come with some stuff that you genuinely needed to play, including the terrain, which is a big deal in that game, and needed to be in there because it's a different scale. And in order to create a box set with that in it, that box set needed to be a higher price point. Yeah. And the same with this Dark Uprising. Terrain is a massive deal in Necromunda. Now, very cleverly, I think, the first one, they got around it by doing it with the cardboard tiles. But actually, Games Workshop is a miniatures company, and they make those 3D things. And if this is what it takes to create a box set with that in it, then fine. I'm slightly concerned about what the cost is going to be when Gothic finally gets a box set. Because by then, you could be looking at, the equivalent of building your own starship.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I'd love to see models of like planets with the rings and.
Yeah.
I love planets with rings.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm playing like a computer game where there's a planet with rings in, I tend to stop and like.
Just have a look.
I think they're so beautiful. They're like the pinnacle of like what nature can do, I think.
Yeah. Well, no. I am the pinnacle of what nature can do.
I knew you were going to say that.
Ringed planets are up there as well.
Yeah. So I'm very excited about that set. As much as I have reservations about the price, and I did swallow hard when I saw it. I was like, oh wow. Because I did actually have in my mind thought about getting two if they were £100 or 120 quid, and then like admittedly that would be me stuffed for ages, but be awesome scenery wise though, wouldn't it? Having two.
Yeah, it would. So we've spoken about the price, but the more awesome side of it is the background. So the Corpse Grinder cult. That's right, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
They're like sort of mixed in with the Corpse Guild.
Yeah.
Aren't they? But are
so.
they like ones that have gone a bit crazy on all the corpse starch?
Yeah, well, they're clearly chaos. They're clearly gone past the point of...
Really, it's just about efficiency, though, isn't it? So, like, rather than taking the bodies, waiting for them to die, and then turning them into corpse starch, using up energy and all the rest of it, just, you fancy a snack. Oh, there's a ganger. Whop, lop off his leg and have a nibble. It's pretty straightforward, really, isn't it?
Well, it is an interesting background question in its own right when you're... And I think it's really cool that in Necromunda they are starting to think about these details that for me have made the new Necromunda like a world better than the last Necromunda. Because what on earth do you do with the bodies of a hive?
Yeah.
I mean, sort of like literally bulldozing them into a blast furnace. You then start to think, well, actually, is there a product that you can get from bones? This is how people would think, when human life is so expendable. Is there a product that they can get use out of from it? And the corpse starch and this cult has come out of that, and it doesn't take a leap of too much thought to come to the conclusion that if your job is to grind up bodies and turn it into corpse starch, you're gonna be a little bit weird.
Yes.
Your outlook on humanity is going to be somewhat warped.
Do you think?
And there will be certain deities who will maximise on that, I should imagine.
Yes. Do you think that in the far future there's one single Forge World dedicated to the production of Games Workshop miniatures?
No. Because it'd be really weird, wouldn't it? Like,
It would be. There would be. I reckon it would survive all of Old Night. Or maybe it causes Old Night. Maybe they release a box set that's £250 and the internet goes into meltdown, is destroyed, and humanity is thrown back into a dark age. And that's what's like the beginning of it all. That's what happens. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, but just like the first train ticket in Britain that cost £1,000, people rapidly forget.
Yeah.
And just move on.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's quite exciting, isn't it? It is wonderful, though, to see so many fantastic miniatures. Like, I know it's crazy because you can't possibly keep up with it all now. But when you're scrolling down through a reveal, and it was only like a few days ago that you saw Dark Uprising and all the awesomeness that was that, and like, it barely... it was only 2 minutes ago we were getting excited because Jane Czar had a plastic model and there were plastic Howling Banshees. And now we're talking about a plastic Zone Mortalis. When we started in the hobby, you built your terrain out of the flipping polystyrene boxes that the models came in.
Yeah. I've actually got one put aside to turn... We've talked about this before, but I've got one put aside to recreate that glorious masterpiece of paint and polystyrene.
You know, it's just mad.
It is.
I love it.
I think I'm really loving the idea of turning the Enforcers into an Imperial Guard army. The more I look at them, the more I just think, yeah. I'm absolutely painting mine like Judge Dredd. That has to happen.
Yeah.
Red and black.
Yeah.
With gold trim.
Why not, eh? Right. I could talk to you about 40k for quite some time, but in the interest of keeping the episode to a reasonable length, I think it would be good to head into the Mortal Realms, because there's lots to talk about there as well.
There is, yeah.
So, guys, we shall let you go and ensure you've sent all of your children to the mines to generate the income you need for the new box set. And, and we will see you in the Mortal Realms.
Hail, mighty listeners, and welcome to the Mortal Realms for episode 50. Dan's almost asleep, woken up.
Yeah, I woke up. I was good. I was just preparing myself.
So we've, I really am in full Age of Sigmar mode this year. I just absolutely love everything that is being thrown at me.
You know, if I recorded the podcast inside an Iron Maiden, then I wouldn't be able to fall asleep.
Do you know, interesting fact that I don't think the Iron Maiden was ever really a thing.
Did they? Not?
No. There's not very many examples of them, like, in the world at all, or in Europe at all, and they don't think that they were ever used as a torture device.
Oh.
There's no evidence that they were. Just interesting. There's lots of grim things that come from the medieval age that are a bit like that. Like the Blood Eagle for Vikings, there's very, very little evidence for that.
Oh. Oh, well, there we go.
Aside from the fact that it would be completely pointless, because if you'd carved someone's back open to get their lungs out, they are going to die before it's finished. So the rest of what they did was just a total waste of time, effectively. So yeah, after that grim thought, on to Age of Sigmar, which is so much more shiny.
Yes, yes.
So what we had this month, we have had something I'm really excited about, because it's the continuation of pulling together those armies into something more sensible, more organised. And I think, I haven't had a look at the website recently, but we might almost be there with getting those armies bunched together now, Dan. With the,
I think we are.
Now with the more tribes. So what have we got? Yeah, so Order are pretty much all together now. There's no like random little things. Chaos. Yep. They look like Destruction. Down to 3. We need more Destruction armies. And Death. Death, yeah. So for Death, of course, we've got the new Ossiarch Bonereapers, which really are a bit Marmite, aren't they, for people?
Oh, mate, I've fallen in love with them.
Yeah, they're growing on me. Not like, I've always kind of liked them, but not enough to collect them. But I would enjoy playing against them, and I enjoy seeing them on the table. But some people are going absolutely mental for them, which is awesome. Because it's going to be a whole new set of armies to add into the Mortal Realms. But I think the thing I'm most excited about, because I'm a big Destruction fan at the moment, is more tribes.
There's a giant pot of food, dude, that you can buy.
It is, but I'm getting that piece of scenery because it's just fantastic.
It's fabulous, isn't it?
It's really grim as well. It's a butcher's table with a big cooking pot.
Yeah. So the Ossiarch, sorry to cut you off, but I often do. I genuinely, I was like, I'm going to pick up a box of the Mortek Guard and just paint them. And then I was like, no, because the trouble is, and this is something that's quite interesting, and perhaps only affects those of us that love all aspects of the hobby, but there is so much coming out right now that I don't feel able to commit to a project because I don't know what's coming out like in a month's time.
Yeah, I mean, it is... Well, with Christmas, you do tend to get a bit more foresight, don't you?
That's true.
So Games Workshop are normally sensible in the way they announce things so that you kind of know what's coming out for Christmas for obvious reasons. Or you used to be able to predict, but you're right now. Like, I mean, you could like go all in on a brand new 40k army and then they released... Like dropped Battlefleet Gothic on your lap. Like,
yeah,
next month, Battlefleet Gothic, and they're so good at keeping these things secret now that no one would have known what was going to happen. But yeah.
So on that, it's interesting that pretty much the entire release schedule up to Christmas appeared on the internet.
I don't think that was necessarily a mistake.
No, that's what I was thinking, based on the fact that you know, like you say, that there are often times when models just appear and you had no idea they were coming. So
well, you mean like the Slaves to Darkness?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Where did that come from?
Out of nowhere. And my goodness me, are they nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely. But
what I like is the ones that harken back to old models.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, really do. Yeah.
So, sorry, but going back to the Bonereapers.
Yeah.
I know we're flicking around a bit, but some really interesting things in there. So they've got units which have a command ability which is specific to that unit. So, by which I mean you might get a unit that's, you can use a command point for that unit and it gets +1 to hit and +1 to wound, for example. So rather than the command ability being centered upon a hero and having like a radius effect or a range, it's specific to that unit. And I think this is the first time I've seen that.
Yeah, no, I can't think of another example.
So I thought that was quite interesting to add in another type of rule like that.
It's a nice way to play. I think that's quite tidy. I wonder if we're seeing it as an alternative that's unique to that army, or a new way of going about making units. Yeah, so we might. In general,
I think it's quite cool just seeing the evolution of Age of Sigmar. You can see as they're trying to tweak the rules and change them and make it more streamlined. So one of the things Dan pointed out is in the Cities of Sigmar book, there's very little reroll abilities. They're all like +1 or something like that. So just to cut down on the dice rolling.
Yeah. Well, it had got the nickname Ages of Sigmar, hadn't it? From
Yeah.
And I don't think you've ever finished a game in under 3 hours.
No, it's funny actually. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I do play quite relaxed. But even when I set up and think, right, I'm going to knock through this game, I never do.
Yeah. But then I think there's different mentalities when you go into games, isn't there? So whenever I'm playing a game with a mate, for me, it's just as much about hanging out with the person I'm playing with as it is about playing the game. And I fully related to that Pete Ferry talking about the dude they used for open play. It's like the model. I don't even remember his name, but he was more than happy to go to the gaming night and set their armies up and just look at each other's armies, have a beer, have a chat, and then put their armies back in their boxes. that was fine, and that I can fully relate to that. That's definitely more than acceptable for me to go to a gaming club, have a drink and a chat, and just look at each other's armies. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
I really like the Bonereapers. Well, I like the fact that they've pulled across some of the old units. I can't remember the name of them, but the kind of fly big ones that were in that survived the Tomb Raiders.
Oh, the Morghast Archive.
Morghast, yeah, they've pulled those across, and I really liked that. I think what I most like about them is their background makes a lot of sense. It narratively kind of plays on this idea that we are watching the evolution of Age of Sigmar, not just from a rule sense, but from a background sense. So when you look at any warfare, you get an arms race of one description or another, and it's normally to do with armour versus weaponry, because our units are the same. Tactics evolve and they change, and people work out different ways of doing it, but they tend to sort of change for a conflict rather than, overall. So a good example is armaments and armour, and but in Age of Sigmar at the moment, you're seeing this cool evolution of it's basically Nagash having a little bit of a moment, because he's like, okay, so what Nagash and Sigmar having a bit of a moment, because Sigmar's going like, well, bam, here's my lightning dudes of 8 foot tall awesome, and they're wading through undead like nothing on earth. So Nagash has gone, oh fine, have a bit of this. Here's some Nighthorn, and it's worked really well to start with. But then they've brought in their sort of religious psyche, magical troops, and smashed the crap out of those. And then it's almost as if Nagash has gone, you know what, fine. If that's the way you're going to play it, I'm going to play it exactly the same as you and make myself a Bone Stormcast, and you lot can slug it out in a good old-fashioned way. And it's it's the same almost with Chaos, where they're like, they create the units are sort of almost like the other armies are responding to those massive Chaos Warriors, and they're trying to match those massive Chaos Warriors. Yeah, I love that, because it's like a back and forward between those two godlike warrior kings. Like, I'm going to make this, and then the other one's like, well, fine, if you're going to make that, I'm going to create something that can build armies out of bones. So how do you like that? Because when I finish the fight, I've still got materials, and when you finish, what have you got, Sigmar? So I really like that, because you feel like every time they release a box set or an army, you're progressing the narrative of that world, and I that's really cool. And it's starting to feel a little bit like that in 40k, ever so slightly, not quite as obvious and profound, and the changes aren't so sort of huge. But I mean, if someone had come along to you and said, okay, so the elves have got a bit upset that the dwarven bullets can punch through their armour, so they've created these super armoured elves with massive, great big magical shields. It's like this. It would be exactly the same thing. Everyone would have gone, "What? What's going on?" Like we could have blown the lid off of Warhammer Fantasy. But now, that kind of all that Sigmar meme of, you can't just open a new storm chamber. The hell I can! It's exactly the way it's going, isn't it? So yeah, loving that.
I want Archaon now.
Well, the model?
Yeah.
I think it would take me a good 2 months to paint Archaon.
Me too. Yeah.
At a normal speed. If I was painting it competition standard, I think I'd be there for half a year.
He's so cool. And now he's got an army. And
yes,
they look so good. There's one particular knight on the left of the picture that's sort of riding, and it's got like a slight turn to the steed, and it's just incredible. It's so good. I do agree with you, though. I mean, as much as I love Chaos, I would love to see some knights, like classic. I mean, we'll probably not see it, but imagine Reiksguard knights in the silver with the red and the white plumes, but done like that.
Yeah, I know it's a bit too close to the to the real world in inverted commas, isn't it? To make a knight that looks like a knight, but they just change the armor, make it look more fantastical, and stick a good guy on a horse. I'd love it, absolutely love it. They would never be that big though, unless it was Stormcast.
That's true.
But then they'd be riding on like griffins or something, or Pegasus. Wouldn't it be awesome if there was units of knights riding Pegasus?
I think that's a bit old-fashioned. Yeah, that's been done.
Is it? Is it really there? Oh, do you know they are the models I miss the most?
Are they?
Out of that range. Oh, I always wanted Pegasus Knights. I'm so gutted I never picked up a box set of Pegasus Knights.
Oh,
I'm really quite gutted with myself that I didn't pick myself up a Bretonnian army full stop, to be honest. Thank you very much, Jay. But there we are. I'm also excited about the where Warcry is going at the moment. So those two new monsters, for me, feel a lot like Blackstone Fortress kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's allowing Games Workshop to make monster models just because they're cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's an awesome place for any miniatures design team to be allowed to create characters and monsters, units and beasties that wouldn't fit into a massive bat army, but are fine, as one-off models in skirmish games. It's funny, isn't it? Because it's almost like 40k and fantasy have done a full circle. What started off as skirmish models that they wrote rules for to turn into battles, so now almost feel like you're going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted because I'm looking at a picture of the Chaos Lord on top of the Dino Dragon monster.
Yeah. I can also see your eyelids drooping.
Yeah, well, it's been a long day, but
this
Chaos guy.
It's a great model.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder if they're going to...
I'd really be tempted to do Archaon's Legion as well, rather than just painting them red.
Oh yeah, I would definitely paint them as Archaon's Legion. I would definitely do that.
This looks so good. I love it.
I would absolutely do that. Because it would tie for you and your force of, bit from every god, which will happen probably sometime by the time you're 150. You'll end up with a 16,000 point Khorne army with a splattering of the other gods.
Yeah. That's exactly what would happen.
But if you are genuine about doing that, 4-god army, then having a backbone of them, that would look amazing.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
I love that they just make random monsters now.
I've literally just had that conversation with you.
Have you?
I've literally just had that conversation with you.
I'm agreeing with you. I agree with everything you said.
Wow. Well, I hope I don't have that effect on everybody.
Oh dear. In my defence, I think Hannah's crying and I was sort of half listening to her.
Yeah.
To check Harriet's getting there. That's my excuse.
Well, it's a reasonable excuse. It's a reasonable excuse. So if we... there seems like there's a whole bunch more Age of Sigmar stuff that we have missed off of our list.
On the magical lists of what's coming out, there's Chaos Warrior or Slaves to Darkness Endless Spells.
Is there?
That's
cool.
It's odd how certain things don't get them and some do, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like whatever army I'm collecting doesn't get...
Oh, yeah.
I really wanted the Foot of Gork as an endless spell.
I must be honest, I do find that odd. You could just go to a charity shop and get the leg off a mannequin and spray it green.
Yeah, but there's no rules for it anymore.
Yeah, but who needs rules when you just literally go smash on the table?
Yeah, do you know, I think that would make me the least popular person in wargaming.
Yeah. Which would be quite a drop from the second most popular person in wargaming.
Oh, you're full of self-love this weekend, aren't you? Well, there we go. I was trying to find...
Ooh, Blood Bowl Oggors as well.
Oh, there we are.
That's what I know. But...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So yeah, you got the Blood Bowl Oggors.
They are lovely.
Yeah, in fact, we haven't actually talked much about the Oggors at all, have we? So the Oggors have been, from what I've seen so far, there's some really cool stuff that they're doing with them. The Nobblers are back. As Nobblers rather than Grots, which is ace, because I love Nobblers, and I really hope they bring back the Hunters, the Trappers.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll do them as a legendary Warhammer Legends.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice if they were around for a while, but even if they were at least just like a one-off.
Because I really want the guy in the cloak as my goblin coach for Blood Bowl.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. Well excited about that.
I ordered the goblin cards yesterday because I realised, I've got a goblin, or I've got 4 goblins, and a troll.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need them.
Yeah. So, so Nobblers are back. They're not Grots anymore. They are part of they're reinstated as part of the, Oggors background, which I really like. One of the things, just talking to, Marcus, who collects Oggors, is they can have both standards in a unit. Both standard choices in a unit at the same time, which is quite cool.
There are lots of units. All my units can do that.
Both standards in a unit of very little.
Well, no, I mean that's different. Then they are little units, which is not the same. But normally it's like you have to have 10 models to have one, and then another 10 models you can have the other one.
Yeah. But I suppose it's because I've never really done that. That I've always split these units up. But because he has them in such small units, I think you can have both within, one for every 3, which is...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can have a unit of 6 and have both standards, which is, I think, really quite cool and very powerful. And I've got to say, again, that the new Man-Eater is just awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
It's quite cool to see all of the Man-Eaters, the original Man-Eaters, are still available on the website.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy about that, because some of those are just fantastic models in their own right.
Probably best not to leave it too long.
No, I know, but it's a lot of money to get them all.
Yeah. I think the big box set sold out, didn't it, the Oggor?
They do very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, but then you've got, I think, even if you weren't an Oggor fan, there's a lot of people who'd want it. It's the first chance to get your hand on the Bonereapers.
Yeah.
And it's your first hand to get the chance to get your hands on the new Oggor stuff, so...
Yeah, definitely. Very popular. It's good. Good time to enjoy some Age of Sigmar.
So we played. We went up to Warhammer World and had a couple of games of Age of Sigmar, which was very exciting. To sort of celebrate, just I think reaching 50 episodes in a way. We did mean to record it that weekend, but no.
I was too busy commiserating the lack of Bakewell tarts.
Yeah, pretty much. I played Wazza, and you played. You played against the Oggors, didn't you?
Yeah, but pre their new book, and I still lost. I'm so bad. Oh, dear.
Having those whopping great big models mixed in with Oggors, mixed in with Nobblers, is going to be one hell of an army. I think there's going to be so much variety possible with that. It's going to be superb. But I played against Dan, and developed bitter hatreds for some of the Order units. He's a good general. There's no two ways about it. It hasn't taken him long to put together one hell of an army out of that book. Mind you, having said that, it's not like I think about what I'm doing with Age of Sigmar. It is very much run forward and hit them.
No.
Which is exactly what I did. I did run forward and I did hit them and then got hit really, really hard. Really, really hard. They don't die easily, those Eternal Guard, when they're buffed up like he does them.
No, they definitely don't.
Fit their name, Eternal Guard.
Yes, absolutely. They are very good. In fact, I haven't played them for a while, actually. It must be about time for another game. Try and get one in.
What I liked about that new book is that I felt, as I was playing him, that I could see the different units that my old High Elf models would be able to stand in as proxies for.
Yeah, he spoke to me about that. So that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the Hunters would be White Lions, for example. The Eternal Guard, I think the Lothan Sea Guard would make completely reasonable Eternal Guard.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm really quite excited about that now.
Good. That is good. I think it's nice doing armies like that where you can get that crossover going.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely legit way of having an Eternal Guard unit.
Yeah, definitely. I think Eternal Guard now are just awesome.
Yeah.
It's good, though, because it's good that elves are as good as they should be.
Yeah. It's also quite a unique set of rules in the sense that it makes... that it reads and sounds like a unit of people who have trained together to use their shields and formation to beat bigger and tougher units.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what an Elven Shield Wall was about. That it was about discipline and skill and teamwork rather than being bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're fighting Chaos Warriors, you're never going to outpunch them. But if they've got...
No.
If they've got an 8-foot mithril spear through the face before they've managed to do anything, it kind of solves the issue quite nicely.
I was going to say, it's fairly effective.
So yeah, I was very happy to see that there more than enough sort of scope to proxy.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's one of the nice things in a book like that book as well, because it's got so many different choices and selections. Then, there's always going to be good opportunity for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right, so now we've bimbled our way through. Just to add in, Wazza absolutely smashed me. I think it was over by the end of turn 1, basically. Really, realistically. So if you're going up against me in the grand tournament in January, you have nothing to worry about. Right, so brings to a close our Age of Sigmar section, and we shall head into the community. Hail to the community, which
hail community.
Slightly out of order in listening because it's when we hear the reveals from Saturday night, so you can hear Dan go mental. If you basically, all right, guys.
Yeah.
See you in the community.
Yeah, see you in the community. Oh, guys! Right, so, Ben and I are recording this, and Blood and Glory is on, and the previews have just gone live, and I've just had a flipping moment looking at something. I've only got part way through, and we thought, well, actually, this is a community event. Let's record this and stick it in as the community section. So you will have seen this stuff by now, but this is genuinely some of the in-the-moment reactions. So starting at the top, the first thing that we've seen is the monsters for Warcry. Now, these were awesome, and I saw them, and Ben obviously saw them as well, and my reaction was, wow, those are really, really nice, really like them. Ben then started laughing and saying, Dan, you are in so much trouble if you're going to try not to buy things.
You are in so much trouble.
So the next thing is the Slaves to Darkness. and I've flipping exploded. So I'm gonna put the video on, and it is just amazing. So hopefully you've seen this by now, but we're gonna get new Chaos Warriors, and they look so good. There's like some real classic ones, and then there's some knights, and then this dude is right. I don't even know what it is. Look at this flipping Chaos Monster Dinosaur Beast. It's just ridiculous. They're so dynamic. This is what Age of Sigmar was made for, guys. This is why it is better not to rank your models up, because you can do stuff like this. It is so good.
Yes.
So, that is amazing. Ben, I'm sorry, I know I'm just going, they've got pictures of the actual units. Oh, look at these knights with lances. Oh my goodness. They're just, look at the energy in these miniatures, dude. They're just amazing.
I know.
Oh, and we're going to get a battle tome. Oh, this is going to be proper bad. Oh, what is this thing? What does it say? What does it say? The huge model is a dark mirror, a monster mounted chaos. Well, it doesn't tell me what it is. It's a big monster. Right, what else is down here? That's just a cool picture. Right, we're into 40k now. Psychic Awakening, Faith and Fury. So there's a Chaos Sorcerer on there. New rules. You guys are all heretical scum. What a lie.
Well, they're not wrong.
So there's going to be new rules for World Eaters as well. So that's rather exciting. It's about time Chaos got some releases. Sisters of Battle, dude. Do you want to talk about Sisters of Battle?
Yeah, the new tank is
what
just...
did that say? Oh my jeez, man! What is that? That is a lifetime of faith is a journey of 1,000,000 steps, but it's faster in a tank. Oh,
amazing,
dude! It's got a stained glass flipping window. Oh, mate! Oh, that is so good. Those braziers are going to be used for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. That is just... Yes. That is Sisters of Battle tanks taken to the next level, isn't it?
Yep.
That is so good. Oh. Oh, look at that one with all the missiles. Oh, that Chaos Sorcerer is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He is really... Oh, what's this? The Lord of Death rises. Long have I waited, long have I hungered to return. For I am death.
Have you not worked out who it is yet?
It's like...
It's Mephiston. Yeah, it is.
Oh, Tom's gonna go mental.
Yeah, and Russ. It's lush. So that actually is not far off how we do most of our reveals when we're not recording.
Wow. Oh, that is stonking, isn't it? Those slaves to darkness. I did not see... Why did I not see that? I didn't see that coming at all, mate.
I didn't really. And you know what? I was just looking at the old Chaos Warrior models and thinking, you know what? I really like them. And I've always really liked them, but they're just a little bit too static. Well, they're not anymore. They look exactly the same. They have the same aesthetic. It's just that they are moving. They are really moving.
Incredible, dude. They look incredible.
And this is what it goes back to things I've said before. I don't want to see Fallen Stormcast. I don't want to see Fallen Primaris. When a Chaos Warrior like that is a Chaos version of a Stormcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't... It's...
That's my personal feelings, though. But I mean, when you've got units like that,
I don't think you need it. You don't need it.
And I just like the hope that there's incorruptible people out there. Not everyone, but just something that's incorruptible.
No, and the thing is, as well, they're not infallible, and they're still like things with them, but they don't have to just, we are far past a time when Games Workshop had to go, right, well, here's the thing, and here's the thing with spikes on it.
Yeah.
There's more to it than that.
More shades of grey.
Yeah.
They are superb.
Not 50, though, because that would be weird.
Well, there's probably about 50 in a Slaanesh army.
Oh.
The knights, I would love to see some, human knights with the same energy as those. They look like they're about to just drive through a unit, don't they?
Imagine, I know, it's an old concept, from the old world, but Reichsguard.
Yeah.
Done out like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I want to see units of knightly orders,
of course.
Like
and why
that.
would you not? I mean, the Mortal Realms is absolutely perfect for knightly orders, because, Bretonnians went off to slay dragons. Well, flipping heck knows what you could go off and slay in the Mortal Realms.
Yeah.
So
you're in trouble, mate, really, quite frankly.
Yeah, to be honest, that is monstrous, because they would look great in red as well.
These are all specifically undivided as well, aren't they?
Slaves to Darkness is undivided, although Archaon was able to give his Varangard. In fact, all Slaves to Darkness units can be given. Okay. Oh, I hope they keep that. That will change. That will change the thing from the battle tome, because the battle tome will have certain rules in it that you'll get if your army is Slaves to Darkness allegiance. But it would mean that I could get units and give them the Khorne keyword, and they'd be mortal. And unlike Beastmen, who aren't mortal, so a lot of the synergies don't work for them, they would for these guys. Oh. Dude, that Garner monster. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's this is why I love the Mortal Realms and I love fantasy. It's just brilliant. It's how could we take a dinosaur and make him more Warhammer? I know. Let's slap some armor plates on him. Look at that. He's got a flipping massive sword, and he's but just in case that isn't enough, I'm going to have this flipping massive axe as well.
Well, it's this chaos, so don't do things rationally, mate.
Well, no, why would you? That's boring.
Have you seen the picture of him below with his helmet on? It's really good.
Oh, yes. He's like a mini Archaon, isn't he?
Yeah, and behind, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's trees with giblets hanging off of them, and I'm trying to work out whether or not they are giblets taken from other places and stuck on a tree, an actual tree.
I think they are, because I think those giblets are from the Warcry scenery.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah. Well, that makes sense. They are superb. They could even tempt me to adding them to my mixed chaos thing that I just ended up having because you collect the other box sets. Because I'd love to do those guys in silver plate armor covered in blood. I think they would look fantastic.
You're going to get Black Templars rules, dude.
I know. Am I going to go back to my first... Well, that was the army I was doing when I joined Games Workshop, wasn't it, Black Templars?
The problem is, man, there is nothing. There is not one thing in that reveal that you wouldn't want. I don't want that.
Yeah.
And actually, previously, there's been a few releases where I've been able to say, nah, okay. This is going to be harder to say, nah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been quite lucky with that recently.
Tanks are just out of this world.
Yeah. I have been quite lucky recently because that flesh and bones thing, is I didn't want that, and I didn't want the Eldar one, so I have been relatively lucky with the releases recently because it's nice not having the need to buy a box set really.
Yeah. That's
one hell of a reveal.
Is so good. It harkens back to the classics.
Yes, it does very much so. Harkens back to the classics. I'm really excited about a new Mephiston. I mean, not a Blood Angels player.
I'm really, really excited about him
because I know a lot of Blood Angels players, and they're going to absolutely love that.
Yes. And also, why would you not have a flipping hull-mounted heavy bolter on a Rhino chassis? Like, you just would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, they look so good, don't they? Well, I'm quite excited by all of that.
So should we move on to our typical community stuff now that we've gone all Age of Sigmar again?
Yes. Just Age of Sigmar. There was some 40k in there.
There was some 40k in there.
Oh,
some excellent 40k. So, I have not been as active on Facebook as I recently have been, but we're always trying to call people. Call people out. That sounds a bit aggressive, doesn't it? But if I see painters,
why have you painted that so well? Have you?
That have caught my eye even on casual perusing. And there's one which I've posted a number of times now on our group chat that we have with like us and the guys who like sort of do most of our hobby with. And it's an artist called Bohun, Bohun, and his name, his account's on Facebook, sorry, and his work is just absolutely stunning. The two things that have stuck out for me recently has been his Jane Czar with some sort of shiny chrome non-metallic metal armour, which I love models that look bright but grimdark at the same time. I think that's a really challenging thing to pull off, and I think he's done it on that model. I'm absolutely in love with the chrome armour, and I'm really keen to actually try doing reflective surfaces for non-metal metallic, so reflecting other colours onto it. It's not something I've ever done before, and I'm really keen to give it a go. And the other one that stuck out is his White Scar that he's recently done with a similar sort of thing. But what's ended up happening is both legs have almost got their own sort of colour tone to them. And as a result, I think it just adds so much more character to the model. I absolutely love it. So, that is my artist that I'm going to call out this week. I'm afraid I haven't got more than that. But I would like to, before I move on, say, I was a bit gutted to see that Gareth Nicholas is leaving the Games Workshop studio. He's announced it on Instagram. He's been a big supporter and a friend of us from like very early on in the podcast, and very sad to see that he's leaving the group, but it's for personal reasons, and I'm all the best to him. Hope things go well, but we'll miss you in the team, I'm sure, and I'm sure that the team will miss you too. Just want to give you a shout out and say thanks for listening, thanks for supporting as well.
Yeah, definitely. I get the absolute pleasure to look through the hobby group.
And it's been insane this last month.
It has. There's been some wonderful stuff in there.
Your work cut out for you, buddy.
Well, but I mean, to be honest, Pete Allison is kicking off my scrolling in style with this Chaos Warrior come dark, like undead Stormcast. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing, and using the spirits, and it just ties together so well, and the colours, and I think that's a classic skull actually as well from some of the classic warriors, which kind of works really nicely.
Yeah, but the old classic skeleton warrior.
Yeah, and the simplicity of the scythe, it's just absolutely excellent, to be fair.
thing I like about it the most is that it is simple structures that it's been made to look awesome by the quality of the paint job.
Yeah. So I think that's really ace, mate. I think well done on that, because I really like that. What I did also want to do is shout out that the competition. So the competition was for a mounted model this month. So I will be putting up the voting for that shortly, pulling all that together. You're looking at me as if that's not correct.
No, that's correct, but I was just trying to think. I actually think we missed calling out the winner from the last one, dude.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive.
Because it's been okay.
Because it's been a month, and we normally call it out on the middle one.
Right, okay. Well, we better go and find that then, I suppose.
While you're looking that up, I'll carry on with our little run through from the hobby forum. The next one that I would like to shout out is Richard Nutter, with his insanely good Armies on Parade board. It is a forest scene with Nighthaunt running out of it, and it is wonderful. The tree looks so realistic that it almost made me weep with hobby happiness. It's fantastic, mate. Absolutely love it. And if you want to come and do an Armies on Parade board for my Oryx, you just give me a shout. I'll let you have them. Right, let's move on down.
Oh, mate, you need to go a bit further. You keep going, but I think that's Becky Leglily has put up some Hobbits, some work she's been doing on Hobbits. They look ace. Keep going and try and find them, because they look really, really nice. Oh, there's so much good stuff on here, guys. I'm just trying to scroll through to find the post. If Geraint is doing non-metallic metal on a piece of scenery, he's mental.
Yeah, well, there's no helping some people, is there?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Good, right?
Yeah, very good. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Andrews, Simon Andrews is Warhammer Quest stuff. It's ceaselessly awesome. Love his conversions and just the style that he's doing them in. I think they're fantastic, and I absolutely love seeing his work every single time it comes up. Brilliant.
Did you see when Mike Parker did that picture of us back when I decided I was going to do some Eldar?
Yeah.
You look really young. I think we both look quite young.
When was this?
Oh, it's in the same group. You'll see it as you come down through.
I might have missed it. Well, so have you found out the winner from the last competition?
No. Yeah. Oh, nearly. I found the post now.
Level of organisation for these things is remarkable, really.
Look, I get out of bed in the mornings and remember where I work. I think that's fairly impressive, if I'm honest. Right, we're almost there, folks. Don't panic. So, the winner was Geraint and his wonderful Saint Celestine. And that was for the Wings of War competition. One of the things I do like doing is looking up nifty art to put as the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite fun.
So this month we've got some great entries, including a nice variety of stuff. There's some warmer hordes in there too for the mounted warriors. So that'll be quite good fun.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, so it's now time for a new competition. And I think the competition, well, I don't think, I know that the title is going to be The Darkness Within, which is basically an excuse to paint Chaos models. You going to enter, Ben?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Darkness,
So
darkness
the darkness within. So I'm going to find an awesome picture.
So what's December going to be? The darkness without.
Possibly.
Okay.
Don't laugh. It's fine. There's the enemy within, the enemy without, and the Xenos scum.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Have we done an alien yet? We've done an alien. We must have done an alien.
No, I don't think we've done like a it must be an alien.
A Gribbly.
But the darkness within, so any kind of mutant type weirdness, I suppose.
Yeah, sounds good.
And that will be November's theme. Now, I wanted to shout out a new venue that's in Bristol, the Manor House.
Looks good.
I got to go there. Oh, mate, it was very good. Very impressed. So met up with Henry Steele from Cult of Paint, and went down with Tom and Ben, Tom the Tank and Ben the Bass, and we played some Adeptus Titanicus, which was my first game of that, which was ace. But they couldn't have been more welcoming. It was amazing. They have got space upstairs for gaming tables. They do food. We had these piles of chips with smothered with cheese and sauce and all really healthy things.
Pub food, woo!
Tom has just messaged me in massive capital letters. New Chaos Warriors flipping Mephiston. I love it. Knew this would happen. It's great. I'm pleased. Oh, that's so good. So anyway,
I wonder what he felt about the reforging. Just sort of waddled through without much.
He probably did. Probably was like,
I have to die. I've already done that once.
Done this. Old hat. So,
Manor House. Come on, stay focused.
I know, but there's new flipping Chaos Warriors.
Yeah, stop looking at them.
I'm not looking at them.
You're just dreaming about them.
Yeah.
Right, come on. Manor House. Chips, piles of chips.
Yeah,
Titanicus.
piles of chips, lots
Henry
of space.
Steele.
They've got different events going on. It's on White Ladies Road in Bristol, which was slightly weird because when we came out, there was people sort of stumbling around, clearly having a bit of a night out, and we're there with all our miniatures, just wandering along. So the parking's not as convenient as some places, but it's got a bar, had a beer. I mean, come on. Draft beer, gaming.
Chips. Basically, Warhammer World on your doorstep.
It's kind of, yeah. I mean, and Ben drove. It's a good job I had work the next day, because that could have gone terribly. It could have ended up in a lift again.
No, ended up asleep in a lift with your legs hanging out the door.
Yeah.
It really doesn't be specific.
Yeah, but you've got to have your legs hanging out the door, because otherwise the doors would shut and there could be an airflow problem. You have to think about these things if you're planning to sort of pass out. Yeah, it's very good, and I did put some pictures. I actually feature on their front page of their Facebook page as well, because they put up a cover photo, and I'm in it. So it's clearly an upper class establishment.
Not unconscious in a lift with you.
No, they don't have a lift. Or I didn't see one. They might have a lift. I don't know. They've got stairs. Yeah, they're very good.
Awesome, because you were looking forward to having that as a new option, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it's good to have lots of different places that you can go and play.
Yeah.
And keep things fresh. But the bar does it for me. The next time I can go down and game.
Easily won over by alcohol.
It's not about the alcohol, it's about the experience.
Yeah, I've heard that before. The
smell, the taste, the smooth and chilling sensation of a fine pint of Heineken of an evening. And I do enjoy my ales. Ales are for a warm day, sat on the station of of a steam train. Oh, dude, talking about steam trains, I need to shout out. Flipping heck! Come on, Jolly. Remember what it was? Was it Realm of Sigmar on YouTube? Realm of something or other. Hang on a minute. This is brilliant tonight. This is the pinnacle. This is where we get to after 50
couple of weeks
episodes.
off.
Yeah. No, it is called Realms of Sigmar. So Realms of Sigmar YouTube channel does reviews, etc. Got a Facebook page. The reason that they are linked to steam trains is I took Joshua with Harriet and Hannah, and we went to the railway that's nearby, and I had my Salamanders hoodie on, and I got on, and the dude that was like being the guard and helping was like, "Yo, Salamanders, very cool." And I was like, "Well, you like trains and Warhammer. You are clearly a god, and I am going to speak to you." And it turns out that he has a YouTube channel and does some stuff. So I followed them. Going to try and link up with them and do some stuff at some point.
Excellent.
But I just loved it. And that is why I love Warhammer apparel, because I didn't meet Chris this way, but Chris and I understood each other's mutual love for the mightiest hobby ever, because I was wearing a Salamanders t-shirt, and he recognised it at the NCT group, and then this as well. So and there's new Chaos Warriors.
And there's new Chaos. Right. So before Dan goes on to Chaos Warriors again, should we do our events?
Do you know what?
Yes.
First event, release of new Chaos Warriors!
Now, first event is a chap called Elliot Whitaker has contacted us and asked us to shush your face. Right, you done? Asked us to shush.
Burn, mortals, your soul is mine.
You sound more like Nagash than Chaos, dude.
Hey, look. It's all good. Nagash, if he wants to come round and understand the true power, he's fine with that.
Right. The event is a doubles tournament in Swansea called Into the Furnace on the 1st of December. We'll pop the link up, obviously, on our Facebook page, and we'll pop it on our show notes. It's actually in a place called Furnace Community Hall, which is really cool. So Into the Furnace at a place called Furnace, near or in Swansea. And it's a 2,000 point one-day event, 40k doubles tournament. Tickets are £30 a team, and they have payable by PayPal. So looks well organised. It's a decent-looking venue. I've had a little smooch around of it, looking at it. And the pack looks good. So if you're interested in a 40k double tournament, then that might be for you. Next is our good chaps at Curtain with their upcoming events. They are running a Battlefield Middle-earth event tomorrow, which will be the Sunday before this is released. Absolutely loving the fact that Curtain support these smaller game systems, because it really makes a difference if you're represented in the kind of hobby establishment. You can go and play Middle-earth or Necromunda or Star Wars Legion, or the game systems that aren't as big as the main ones, or are up and coming. So I think it's awesome that they support them. So that's why I've shouted that out, even though it's gone. There is a under 16s Youngblood 40k tournament on the 16th of November at Curtain. Again, I absolutely love the fact that they do under 16s tournaments, because if you're under 16, it's quite intimidating to go up against adults, and it's a really family-friendly place. I know the guys have kids, and they will make it welcoming, friendly, and safe. So absolutely, if you've got kids, you live in the area, that would be one to think about if you want to get them into the hobby, or they're into the hobby. They've got a Necromunda tournament on the same day, which is really cool, because I think Necromunda stuff organised stuff is really awesome, especially if someone's put an effort into the narrative, like Chris does for us. So it's wicked. And November the 23rd, they've got Star Wars Legion Southwest Prime Championship, which has got to be awesome. It's nice to see them. They're doing sort of the Prime Championships for Legion as well. Probably doing that off the back of doing the X-Wing, aren't they?
Yes.
And then, of course, we have the First Blood Age of Sigmar tournament on the 7th of December, which we've been calling out over and over again. It's a whopping tournament. There's already loads of places gone. In fact, I haven't contacted them recently within the last couple of weeks to make sure there's any spaces, but there is a chance that there isn't. And it's really good to go along to big tournaments. And this could be one of the biggest Age of Sigmar tournaments in the Southwest. And hopefully it will grow and grow and grow. And if you're into Age of Sigmar, please support it. Unfortunately, I have been nailed by my work and I have to go to a meeting, very important meeting on that weekend, which I cannot get out of. I know, otherwise I genuinely would have gone to that.
That's all right, there'll be another year.
Well, I wanted to run in my Oryx, mate.
Look,
but there we go.
You're going to get more than enough running in your Oryx. That's your entire battle plan.
Run, hit, wah!
Run, hit, wah!
So there we go. That's our friends at Curtin. So one of our friends who used to come into Games Workshop Plymouth is where I met him. One of the guys who actually was really... What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry. Sorry. Ross. Just put in the... I'm sorry, it's not even as funny as this, but Ross has just put in the painting line that bit in from Friends when Monica's like 7.
What, for Mephiston?
Yes. And it's just like, I love Friends so much, and that is so funny, and it fits so well, and that's just tickled me.
Well, now you've shared in it, yes, that is funny, but Phil, back on topic, Dan,
so sorry.
Was a chap who I met in Games Workshop Plymouth when I got back into the hobby a long time ago. And he, along with a couple of other guys that we knew from Games Workshop Plymouth, have set up the Plymouth Troll Slayers, and they have their first event this weekend that have been supported by Cross Swords. It's an Age of Sigmar event, and it looks really cool. The setup looks fantastic. I'm sorry we haven't been able to shout it out before it happened, dudes, but we will let us know, and we will certainly give as much support as we can for future ones, because it's just all part of the community building up Age of Sigmar and tournaments, which I don't see we see enough down here. And other than that, I haven't seen any other events that's like popped up on my feed, Dan. You?
No.
No? Well, guys, if you are running an event, then please do let us know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because community is the most important issue for us. We absolutely want to support everyone we can in developing like the local community. So give us a shout and we'll do everything we can to help.
Absolutely. The community is well, it's the heart and soul, isn't it, really? So
it absolutely is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be excellent to each other. Right, Dan.
Indeed.
Are you going to be okay to go on to the wilds, or are you going to find yourself another meme to?
Honestly,
GIF?
I'm sorry. I've just it's like a combination. It's like a drug. It's like I've got up at 5 o'clock this morning to get ready for work. I'm shattered. I've had a coffee. I've just had distilled excitement. Like, I love miniature soldiers, okay? That's just a given. No. I particularly like and love Games Workshop miniature soldiers. Okay?
Yeah. I
even more like ones that I've only just seen. Yeah. And I flippin' love chaos, okay? So this is just all the ingredients. Oh, and I'm quite excitable.
Yes, you are. That is true.
So right now is essentially like I've had a crate of Red Bull. I'm going to have a hangover in the morning, like an actual hobby hangover from this excitement. I know it. It's going to happen.
I think the only way that it could have been more exciting is if you'd seen it on a billboard on the side of a train.
Let's move on, because I nearly said something inappropriate then, and we don't need that on this show.
All right, let's move into the wilds.
We'll see you in the wilds.
Hi guys, welcome to Into the Wilds. I don't know if I'm introducing, but I am introducing because we kind of lost track. And then in between recording the last segment and this one, we've talked about buying a T52? Did you just...
T54.
T54, 90,000 quid? That's a bargain, 94. Isn't it?
Yeah. That
and a Ford Mustang Boss 429, which is a little bit more outside of our budget at 200,000, not including import fees. But neither of those are miniatures. Both of those are hobbies that we can't afford. So should we talk about things that we still can't afford?
Yeah, why not? That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've got two. Want to have a little bit of a chat about Legion. Star Wars Legion.
So that's quite cool, because I don't really know much about it.
I know superficial amounts about it. So I've not played it, but everyone in the local group is really into it at the moment, and it's getting a lot of support from Curtin, so they've been up to a tournament recently and thoroughly enjoyed it. I think sometimes it's really good to... Well, I'll start with explaining why I'm not doing Star Wars Legion. And it's not because the game doesn't look fun, because I've watched a couple of guys play one and it did look fun. It looked streamlined. It looked very sort of card-based and tokens and special dice.
I think is it made by Fantasy Flight?
It is, and it's a very Fantasy Flight-like game. But it did look like it played well. And,
Fantasy Flight make great stuff.
The reason why I'm not playing it isn't because it doesn't look fun, but because I can't do it to myself, Dan. I can't do it to myself. Because I know what I'm like. The problem is with Star Wars is that there's background, and lots of background, and I couldn't just collect a couple of squads of stormtroopers. I'd end up having to have a platoon, or a company, or whatever force organisation that they were, and I wouldn't be able to do things like have snow troopers with normal troopers, and so then I'd have to have a snow trooper army, and it would just go mental. And I can't do it to myself. I can't face doing it.
Nope.
But that doesn't mean I can't look at it and enjoy it, and enjoy other people enjoying it. I've got to say the models aren't I suppose we're spoilt when it comes to miniatures, aren't we? Not just Games Workshop, but lots of companies make very, very high quality miniatures. So as soon as you see one that's a little below that kind of par, it's noticeable. And I think that my feeling, and people may disagree with me, but that I don't think that the Fantasy Flight miniatures are that wonderful. It does mean that you're less likely to spend hours on them, because they don't kind of beg you to do that. If that makes any sense. Having said that, they are the nicest range of Star Wars miniatures out there, I think. Which is also worth pointing out. And they're talking about an 8080 now. That's, been rumoured. That would be insane.
That would be huge.
it would. But what I wanted to, the reason why I've sort of wanted to bring them up today is because the new release I found really exciting. So the one that's coming up is droids, the B1 battle droids, and the Phase 1 clone troopers, which is going back to episode 1, 2, and 3, which is, I think Clone Wars, there's a lot to open up there. In fact, a lot more units and combat background than there is for episodes 4, 5, and 6. Because there's the Clone Wars cartoon series, there was lots of computer games for it. It was a lot more like fleshed out, as it were. Do you remember the
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
when you were the clone soldiers, the computer game, and I don't think any of that got canned when Disney took over the license. So there's a lot more combat-y stuff that they can work through. I think I'd be a lot more comfortable collecting Stormtroopers, Clone Warriors, than Stormtroopers. I don't really like the idea of collecting Imperium because they're baddies. But I could equally get on board with the droids. I think they would be quite good fun, and the models are really dynamic and look ace. So yes, there we go. I think if you're interested in Star Wars, because we haven't really shouted this out since we first saw it ages ago, then it's definitely worth having a look at if you're into 28 scale or 32 scale war games, because it does play really well, and it's managed to grab everybody in our local group. So Marcus, John, Ross, Simon, all of them are playing it. So worth having a look.
I think Fantasy Flight make great games. I love their stuff. I love their attention to detail and the quality of like their card stock and things. I think what they are particularly good at is doing justice to an IP.
Yes.
I think they did with Games Workshop when they did Games Workshops. I think they did a really nice job of that. I think what's interesting is their miniatures game, their Rune Wars miniatures game. And I know you don't necessarily know what's going on everywhere, but you don't really see a lot about that. And the independent stockists that I know that have stocked it have had a real trouble shifting it.
It's big in America though, isn't it?
Is it? See, I didn't know that. So it is big in America. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I see a lot of American painters painting it. Is probably a better way for me to say it. So
yeah. Oh, well, that's interesting, because I was actually going to say, it seems they're much better at working with and doing justice to an IP than creating one. Yeah. But if that is big in America, then maybe that's not fair. But that's not supposed to be a negative anyway. That's about the fact that they are very good at doing justice to IP.
I'm expecting them to take on Alien vs Predator.
Yeah, that would be good.
And if they do, I'm still very happy that I got the Alien vs Predator models. Yeah. It'd just be nice to have a new set of rules to use them with. And I think it's definitely how much Alien vs Predator cost me is what's mainly putting me off Star Wars Legion, I think. But, maybe in the future. There's definitely some appeal to the fact that you don't have to assemble the models very much at all. That's a big appeal. It's nice
if they're quick, isn't it?
Although cleaning them up apparently is a horror show in its own right. But, I mean, if any of you guys follow Marcus O'Reilly, who is a chap that we do painting night with up here, ex-Golden Demon winner, he cannot paint a model quickly. It is almost genetically impossible for him to do any form of painting quickly. And the last couple of weeks, he's painted a Legion model in an evening. So maybe it does lend itself to that kind of way of doing things. And Simon's done a whole Rebel army in a month. So maybe it does lend itself to that a little bit more. So anyway, I thought it'd be worth us sort of giving a little bit of a shout out. I'm intending a little bit more as it's becoming popular in the area. in the Wilds to do a little bit of an update every time, because it is growing, and I do love Star Wars, and I'd quite like to get somebody on to have a chat about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Simon, Ross, and John together would be quite fun, wouldn't it? Get them all on, and they could have an argument about it.
Yeah. Yes.
The more people you get on, the more differing opinions you're likely to get. But no, we'll get one of the guys done, because they all know a vast amount more than I do about it, and John does a podcast on it, which was the last thing I wanted to shout out, and called the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herder, through House of Chaos Games. So if you're interested in Star Wars Legion and you want to know more about it, I'd like to signpost you to that, because it's very good.
And where is that hosted?
If you go into the House of Chaos Games
website,
yeah,
and presumably is it through? Can it be found on Spotify and Podbean and the others?
It's on Podbean, the most awesome of all podcasting hosters. Yeah.
Yeah, Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders. It is on Podbean. Yeah. Yeah, there's two.
Yeah.
But it's the one that looks more like it's got like House of Chaos Games style writing.
Right, the other thing I want to talk about is a little bit unusual. So Dan and I are both role players as well as model tabletop miniature gamers. Although one of the things I have found, and I'm sure Dan will agree, that actually pinning down a group of role players and getting them to attend regularly to do anything, it is literally the archetype of the definition herding cats.
Yeah.
It is virtually impossible unless you really, really work at it. But I'm very pleased to say that I now have a regular Pathfinder group. I've talked about it before. That we meet up at least every other week, if not every week. And that story is progressing awesomely. And it's the most fun I've had role-playing in a long, long time. And that's thanks to Ross for dungeon mastering it. But it's not particularly what I want to talk about tonight. What I wanted to talk about is because I've always been really keen in introducing Tristan to my friends and having them part of his life, and having them. He hangs out with them with me, and he comes and plays games with us. So he is, being introduced into the hobby at an early age. So helps him build his confidence in it, and I think it does him a world of good. But obviously with role playing, that's always been a bit of a challenge. And what he tends to see is he'll come and sit with us sometimes if he hasn't already gone to bed for painting night for a little bit, and then shuffle his way upstairs. Elwyn's a little bit young yet, although she does. But with the role playing group, what tends to happen is everyone turns up, and then but he's going to bed, and he wants to know what's going on and wants to give it a go. And so what Joe started to do is tell him what happened in the morning over breakfast the night before, which he absolutely loves. And of course, there's edited bits, because last week our halfling fighter has half tamed a massive, great big diabor, and had unleashed it on a bunch of bandits, and he'd been throwing them around and eating them and basically making a mess of them. And so it wasn't really under 18 material, to be perfect. No. So things got edited. But as a result, he wants to play. So I went out and had a look around and found a fantastic game system called Hero Kids. It's very, very simple. Of course, it's not for them to dungeon master. It's for an adult to dungeon master them.
Yeah.
But it's very, very simple from their perspective to understand how to play it. The rule book is I think $6 to download from their website, and it contains like a bunch of stuff and I think a few quest ideas, and actually, but then the whole quest pack, which I think was called, the first one is called Cellar of Rats or something like that. What wasn't expensive either, and it comes with little paper miniatures that you can cut out and and use. It comes with a bunch of pre-made characters for the kids to use. It's got loads of tropes in it that you can recognise, like the girl hunter uses her hair as a whip, so Elwyn immediately recognised her as Rapunzel. It's from 4 to 10-year-olds, and I've been reading the rules and sort of running through it, the scenario, so when I play it with them, I'll be able to do it fairly smoothly. It is fantastic, mate. Absolutely one of the best introductions I could have hoped for kiddie role playing. So I'm really excited about it. It's like it's what, £6 for a rule book is ridiculous. With maps, with
that sounds great,
all sorts of stuff, and it's got loads of expansions, including how to change it up to make your characters superheroes. So make it like a more modern setting. So
that's a good idea.
So yeah,
isn't it? I think
it's idea. And because kids love superheroes as well.
Yeah, it's cool because it sounds genuinely like somebody's just trying to help kids get into the hobby.
Well, it started off. If you searched Hero Kids on your phone now, you would find the main site is a blog, and I couldn't find on the blog how to download it at all, so I had to look around. And there's a sort of hosting site that you can download it from, but he started it as a thing on his blog, and for his kids. He wrote it to role play with his kids. So it is made by a parent for that age group. And as a result, it's not a company trying to sort of do it by, testing it on kids. He's actually built it with them in mind and had them around, and he's done it. So I think it's great. And, if you're and I know a lot of people who listen to this are parents, I would suggest giving it a go, giving it a look, because, I'm really impressed with it. Really, really impressed with it.
Yeah, it sounds ace. I like the sound of that. Be getting that for Joshua when he turns 4. He actually sat on the end of the gaming table the other day when Dan and I were playing, and was playing with some of my Chaos Marauders, Marauder type dudes, and some little bases, and he loves it. He just loves sitting there being with Daddy. It's great, rolling the dice. He did climb onto the table at one point, which is a bit hairy.
Well, it's effectively a god beast, isn't it?
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. Very good. Very good. What's nice as well is that the guys are really patient with him. Which I really appreciate.
This is what I mean about, like, having your kids around your friends. I think it's really helpful for them. Not all the time, but, I think...
No.
Particularly the guys that come to painting night and John have always been ace with the kids. So, and it makes a big difference because, I think when it comes to life, actually there is a very clear and obvious definition between adult and child life for kids. And, but I want Tristan to realise that there are some similarities too, that friends are friends, and, building friendships and playing with your friends one way or another is a lifelong thing. And how to treat each other when you're an adult. I want all those things to come across. So I think it's ace. And that's why I do it. And I think the hobby is such a perfect way for them to learn those kind of, like really important messages like respect and how to win gracefully. And all of those things can be, taught to a kid by means of the hobby. And I'm enjoying exploring it more and more. But role playing, the other one I've been looking at is which is funny because one of the first episodes you told me that there was a My Little Pony role player, and I nearly laughed myself off the chair. Which is that was 50 episodes ago practically. But I think now I'm actually quite a big My Little Ponies fan, sitting watching it with the little girl. So that's the other option I'm looking at, because I think she'd love making a unicorn, and although she'd want to be a princess every time, an alicorn. It's quite funny trying to explain to her, like, logically, and it's so nerdy, but like, like, oh, Eloine, you can't be an alicorn because there's only 4 of them. And, and you can't be one of those because then you're not really representing you in the game, are you? And she's like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So what character do you want to be? A princess. Well, you can't be a princess. We've been over this, Eloine.
That's fantastic.
Well, that's me done, mate. Unless you've got anything else to throw into the wilds.
No, not this time, buddy. I mean, there's loads of stuff. I've noticed that TT Combat have continued with and released a bunch more of retooled sculpts for Drop Zone Commander. And they've also, I didn't clock this until the other day, but I'm not sure if it's out or it's coming out, but there's another expansion called the Reconquest of Earth. And it's the first one where they've actually brought the Drop Zone Commander and the Drop Fleet Commander together into one book.
Oh, very good.
Which is quite cool. But yeah, so more and more of the stuff is being retooled, which is nice because it is a lovely game and a testament to Dave who designed it. But at the moment, when so much stuff is sold out, it's hard to really commit to these things.
Sold out?
Yeah, like stuff that's not available because it's sold out and they haven't remade the tooling and stuff for it yet.
Oh yeah. So, yeah. Well, TT are getting around to it. They'll get there eventually.
Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting there. Yeah.
Their production rate at the moment. I mean, we talk about it with Games Workshop a lot, but TT Combat and it's reflected across so many companies. But the amount of stuff that they're releasing is insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
They've got loads of it. Yeah.
And it's really good value as well. Their Warcry stuff is ridiculous. What did you show me the other day? And I was like, that cannot be £25.
£26, yeah. That was their Nihilus stuff. I can't remember what it was called now. I was just looking for it now. It's quite new. Why can't I find it easily? It'll be on their front page, I suspect. Sector Nihilus, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've got like a Nihilus Gateway, which is like a Stargate type chaosy thing, which is very nice. £9. A Nihilus Floor Strider, which is funny. It's like if you imagine a demonic Storm Shield landing pad with legs. So that's kind of funny. It strolls around. And yeah, the Sector Nihilus industrial thing. It's just mental.
Mm. So. Lovely. So that brings us to the end of episode 50, which is insane in its own right. Huge thank you to everyone who has joined us from episode 1. That means you've listened to us for well over 100 hours.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Which is a bit scary, really.
Yeah.
That means
we're sorry.
Recorded talking to you for over 100 hours. I mean, that's scary in its own right.
Yeah, medal in the post.
And as ever, a massive thank you to our patrons who very much facilitate us being able to do this, because there is expense. It is difficult to keep up with it sometimes, and they make it all possible. So massive thank you to you. And Dan and I are always talking about ways we can give stuff back to you. And in fact, we've just come up with one. My computer almost lost everything we recorded tonight, and I think
you may have had a small meltdown.
I may have had a small meltdown that was recorded. So we wondered, and please let us know if the patrons would be interested in 2P's outtakes, which could be quite an interesting thing in its own right.
It could indeed.
We are on all the regular places: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at the 2P's podcast, or just search the 2P's podcast and we come up. And we put content up there as much as we can. And please, if you haven't, come and join us on the forum, because it is really a wonderful place where people just share and enjoy hobby. It's very positive, very friendly, and it's our absolute honour to run it and manage it. So if you're not on there, please come and join us.
Absolutely. All right.
And we shall see you.
It's been a joy.
Episode 51.
We will. Indeed.
Should we make episode 51 focus on aliens? No? That's lost.
As long as they're chaos ones.
There must be a race of chaos aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for episode 51, we will find a race of chaos aliens. There must be one in the background. Right, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.